To be fully transparent with you, I had enough. I was sick of it. You see, a couple of years ago, I decided to quit my corporate 9 to 5 job. I sold my home in Chicago and I moved to Portugal because I decided that it was time for me to start living on my own terms. And in the years leading up to this decision, I started to really think about my health. I started to think about my relationships and the bigger life goals that I had for myself. And throughout my 30s, this idea that my time is not unlimited, that made me start to really question the direction or the trajectory of my life. I kept coming back to this idea that sitting at a desk, hunched over a keyboard in an office somewhere, that's not the way I prefer to spend so much of my life. I wanted my life to be as optimal as I could possibly make it, instead of like following this traditional path that leads so many people to be tired, to be depressed, to be sick, and to be burned out. I wanted to be in supreme physical condition, especially in this world where so many people are sick. I wanted to spend more energy nurturing relationships and hanging out with people who I actually wanted to be around. I wanted to create this life where I spent most of my time doing work that I feel naturally called to do. And I know for a fact that there are a lot of other people out there who want the same for themselves, but they're quietly suffering. They're trapped by the golden handcuffs because in their minds, the only path that's available to them is to climb the career ladder in, whatever industry or in whatever area of expertise that they've been pigeonholed into. And they just have to accept that this is the way that things will be until they're 65 and until they're ready to retire. I refused to believe that this was the only reality for me. So as I contemplated leaving my job and moving to another country, I knew that I needed to find a way to create a lifestyle that I actually want to live. I'm still in the process of creating that lifestyle. I won't say that I've made it just yet because I'm still very much in the journey. And fortunately, I have an amazing group of people in the Focus Algorithm private network who've joined me as they also design their ideal lifestyles. And from everything that I've learned through my experience, through working with these other people, what I can say is that posting on YouTube is one of the highest leverage plays that a person can make. Now, that might sound a bit ridiculous at first, but I really do want you to hear me out. So make sure that you keep watching this video. Turning your mind into a leveraged asset is the most accessible path to living on your own terms. There are lots of ways that people can create economic opportunities for themselves, right? Like it's endless. But for the majority of people, I truly do believe that the most accessible pathway to living life on your own terms is to simply package what you already know into a product or into a service, and then use the internet to connect with people who might be interested in that offer that you just packaged together. Now, I use the terms product and service very loosely, but I want to be clear that this doesn't only entail being an online entrepreneur if that's not something that you want. Like it could be as a contractor or as a consultant. It could also be employment at a corporation. You can package your skills and your experience to be bought by an employer just as it might be bought by a client or by a customer. And all you're doing is using the internet and long form video to sell what you know. You're essentially productizing your mind. You're turning what you know into a product. Now, one of the tragedies of modern life is that people don't understand the value of the information that they possess inside their own minds. Like you listening to this, you probably struggle with the notion that you have ideas and deep knowledge that will actually resonate with other people. But I promise you this, if you start to talk publicly about your professional knowledge or about your life experiences or just about things that you genuinely find interesting, then some people will designate you as the go-to expert in that particular topic, as hard as it might be to believe. Like someone out there is looking for the solution to a problem that you have already solved in the specific way that you have solved it. There's people out there who are desperately trying to find the answer to something that you've already figured out or something that you just intuitively already know. And you'd be surprised at how many people might actually reach out to you if you started sharing your expertise on video and then attaching a call booking link to it. Because by sharing your knowledge, you're not only doing something good for the world by helping other people, but you're also creating opportunities for yourself. You are inviting people to enter into your world. You're literally creating opportunities to get lucky. You're creating opportunities for the right people to discover you. And most importantly, you're creating opportunities to generate income purely based on your knowledge and being able to monetize your knowledge simply by sharing it online. That gives you the ability to completely circumvent the corporate 9-to-5 system, or to create a parallel income stream that unlocks additional flexibility so that you can start to live much closer to your ideal lifestyle. So share your knowledge, share your experiences, share your passions online with other people. Pick something that you either naturally obsess over, or if you have very deep knowledge of something that is extremely rare, that's extremely valuable, then yes, do share that online. When you record yourself speaking about these things, you're converting stored knowledge that's buried in your mind, you're converting that into an intellectual property asset that you can then monetize at scale and in perpetuity. This is what I mean by productizing your mind. What's good about this is that once you put it out there, it will continue to work for you. It's an asset, right? You can leverage it over and over again to attract new opportunities if you do it correctly. And speaking of doing it correctly, the platform that you use to do this matters a lot, quite a lot actually. And this is where YouTube comes into play. We are entering the age of the personal brand, and YouTube is the primary mechanism for building a personal brand. You may have noticed that it is harder than ever to stand out, especially online, because in today's world, almost everyone has a college degree, right? Everyone is optimizing their resume using ChatGPT or other AI tools. Everyone is on short form social media posting about the same thing. They're using the same tools, the same gimmicks to produce content that all looks the same. So if you want to attract new opportunities to attain economic flexibility that gives you the lifestyle that you want, then how do you actually stand out? How do you make people gravitate towards you and not towards everybody else? And the short answer is by building a personal brand. You see, we are officially in the second quarter of the 21st century. We're in a time where having a personal brand is far more valuable than any amount of tailoring that you can do to your resume. It's far more valuable than any amount of discounts that you can offer for your products, for your services. It's far more valuable than whatever other things everyone is still focusing on, despite none of those things actually moving the needle forward. Okay, so I must repeat myself here. Building a personal brand today is the single highest leverage economic play that a person can make going into the second quarter of the 21st century. In the very near future, people who use the internet to build a strong personal brand will outcompete everyone else who's still playing by the old rules, and they don't use online assets to differentiate themselves from everybody else. Brand precedes all else. Brand builds trust, which is particularly valuable in this day and age, considering that you really can't trust anything that you see online anymore, right? And so YouTube is the single best platform that's out there for building a personal brand because it is a long format platform. The problem with shorter format platforms comes down to something called context collapse, which is essentially just everyone gravitating to the same style, the same format, to the point where everyone just looks and sounds the same. But YouTube is the one major platform out there where you could talk about what you know in depth. And as you do that, you can also let your personality shine through, and you can reach other people who are intently looking for the knowledge that you are providing. They're not passively coming across it just because they're, mindlessly scrolling. So I'm going to give you two examples of how personal branding on YouTube could work, because I think that when people hear that term, they immediately jump to this idea of being an influencer or something like that. And that's really not the case. Okay, so for example one, imagine you are a hiring manager at some corporation, some business, and you're trying to fill a position. Now you have 5 candidates who are all basically equal across the board. Their resumes, they all look the same, probably because they all use ChatGPT to optimize and do all the keyword stuff, right? Their personalities are basically similar, and they all talk about all of the great things that they've done in their careers. So you can't fully trust what they tell you, because it's easy to pad a resume. Like, it's easy to shine and kind of put on a front in an interview. But what's not easy to fake is building a portfolio, an online portfolio that demonstrates your expertise in detail, right? So imagine only one of those candidates also has a YouTube channel where they have a portfolio of videos going in depth. They're teaching about the subject matter. They're doing tutorials. They're doing walkthroughs. They're demonstrating different tools that they've created to address that particular problem. So this person has built a personal brand as the guy who does the thing that you are looking for. And so in this case, which candidate would you trust the most? Which one would you pick? Now, for example, two, I want you to imagine, you have some problem in life that you're trying to solve, and you see a million different posts on Instagram. You see a million different ads of people claiming that they'll help you solve the problem. My favorite is the whole "I'll help you make $10,000 in a month" crowd that's out there. But let's say you're stuck in analysis paralysis, because everyone out there is basically saying the same thing, and you can't tell who's a snake oil salesperson and who's legit. But then you come across someone's YouTube channel. They have dozens of videos explaining how they experienced that same problem that you currently have and how they went about solving it. And over time, you feel more comfortable that you're dealing with a real human being here, someone who actually cares and knows what they're actually talking about. And so what this person has done is, in a world where there's so much generic information, they've used the long format of YouTube to go into a level of detail that differentiates themselves as the person who has the solution to your problem. So in both of these cases, YouTube allows somebody to create a personal brand that attracts the right people and the right opportunities into their life. So if you want to create more freedom for yourself and you want to start living on your own terms, then the quickest pathway to doing that with virtually no starting capital is to use the internet to sell your intellectual property. Posting on YouTube will be the thing that sets you apart from everybody else, because it will allow you to create long format content to build a personal brand that does the selling for you, even while you sleep. And when you're in your 30s, you have enough life experience, you have enough career experience that you can teach people a lot of valuable lessons in life, but you're also young enough that you have so much time ahead of you, and you can set the trajectory for the rest of your life to start living on your own terms, right? So that's why I think it's super important for anybody who is in their 30s to start building a monetizable asset via YouTube so that it could serve them for years to come. Now, if you're currently trying to navigate your next chapter in life, you're trying to design your ideal lifestyle for better health, for more peace, more economic freedom, then join me and a select few others who have made the decision to level up via my private network, the Focus Algorithm, or you can schedule a one-time consultation with me today, and I will help you build your knowledge monetization strategy. Check the links in the description below for products and resources, and I'll see you next time. Peace.